What's up, K-12 Nation? This is Dr. Joseph Williams with the My K-12 Career Show. I'm super excited about our show today. Today we have Dr. Ian Buchanan from NIA Education Group in St. Louis, Missouri. NIA Education Group is an executive coaching and consulting firm dedicated to helping leaders become their greatest leadership selves. In addition, Dr. Ian, as he likes to be called, recently served as Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, or Chief Academic Officer in the School District of University City in Missouri. Prior to his current roles, Dr. Buchanan worked in the Memphis community, serving as Managing Director of the Parent Leadership and Advocacy Institute, PLAI, an organization committed to empowering parents to influence change in schools and districts. He also played a role in the development of the Memphis Lift, an organization committed to parent empowerment and engagement. Also, during his tenure in Memphis, Dr. Ian served as Director of Strategic Partnerships for the Achievement School District, a comprehensive turnaround school district. I could go on and on about all the great things that Dr. Ian has done, but I'll let him share those with you in our interview. I really hope you get value out of our interview with Dr. Ian Buchanan from NIA Education Group in St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you and enjoy. Dr. Ian Buchanan, thank you so much, my brother, for coming on the show and sharing your journey with our viewers and our listeners. Would you please tell us what's going on in your life and in your K-12 career right now?
So right now, well, thank you, first of all, Dr. Williams, for the opportunity, my Missouri brother.
Yes, sir.
Good to engage with you. As I always say, iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
So it's always great to learn and share so we can all grow. You know, that's the first thing. But in terms of my K-12, this is my first full year as what I call an edupreneur.
Okay.
I'm a full-time educator / entrepreneur, and I'm going into the second month of my second year.
Okay.
So about this time last year, in 2021, I decided that I wanted to have an impact in a different kind of way.
Okay.
Previous to what I'm doing now, I was Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction / Chief Academic Officer in the School District of University City under, the fearless Dr. Hardin Bartley, who is, I knew we know each other as personal friends, but having the opportunity to work with her in U City honestly just really helped me appreciate how awesome she really is as a leader and some of the leadership strengths that she has.
Awesome.
So I did that. I was a principal. Have done other things in education, but right now I lead my own education, executive coaching, and consulting. Yeah.
So when you say executive coaching, is that specifically district leaders, or do you also coach school leaders? How does that work?
Yeah. So in the coaching world, we say coaching is agnostic to profession, meaning that I can coach a medical doctor, I can coach a pastor, an educator. My primary focus has been primarily African-American men who are in education.
Okay.
For the last year, I spent about maybe 120 hours in training, and then maybe another 100 hours coaching Black and brown men and women across the country.
Awesome.
And so I'm a trained and certified executive coach. And so it is a skill, it is an art, it's a science. And so that's part of the work that I do. Yes, sir. But my focus really has been on primarily Black males who are in education in the St. Louis region.
Okay, good. But you also work with people outside of St. Louis, correct?
Oh, man. Yeah, I got people as far as Oakland, Chicago, Memphis, Forest City, Arkansas.
Okay.
Couple places around the country, yes.
So do you do what they call like coaching cycles? Like, how does that work? Like, what is if I'm a high school principal, like if you were coaching me, like how would that look?
Yeah. So our coaching is a little bit different. Our coaching, we coach for the goal. So whatever it is you want to achieve, we coach for the gold, which means the highest that you can actually achieve. And then we also coach the soul, because we believe that, especially I believe that coaching and support in the way that we do it is something that is very much in the line who we are as people. Okay. And so my coaching is first helping you understand who you are. So the first thing is helping you really understand your profile, many of your strengths, your weaknesses, your saboteurs, your gifts, your skills. It's also really helping you understand what is that supreme self inside of you.
Okay.
What do you call that self? How do you know that self? It's helping you understand the strengths, your blind spots, the ways that you're in your own way. So that's really the first step.
Okay.
Unlike traditional coaching, where they just coach right into the work, we believe that you have to focus on what we call being and doing.
Okay.
And I'm not going to get long, but we're not called human doings, right? Have you ever heard anybody call human doing?
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
We're called human being. So we have to focus on the being first. Once you can focus on the self, your strengths, operating from a place of strength and resonance, you can make decisions better.
Sure.
You can be a better professional. You can be a better leader. You can be a better person, husband, a church member, organization member. You can be a better person and you can hit your goals. And so the coaching methodology that I use is not just about you being a better teacher, a better leader. It's about you operating from a better place so you can be a better whatever you are.
Wow, this is unique. Like, I mean, is this something that you came up with, Dr. Buchanan? Because I don't think I've ever heard of this.
No. So, and that's part of why I do it, to be very honest. Like, we just don't get exposed to stuff.
Okay.
You know, this stuff exists in the space, in the education space, in the coaching space. Black and brown people, we just don't know it.
Wow.
And so there's this TED talk that says everybody needs a coach. And it is so true because coaching speaks to brain science. I'm a big proponent of all types of information about brain science.
Okay.
And so I use a couple of different methodologies. One is called immunity to change. Okay. This comes out of Harvard University, two professors out of Harvard University, and the Minds at Work program. And it really does a couple of things. First, it says, so if I were to ask you, Dr. Williams, if I brought 6 people around and I said, hey, can you tell me what Dr. Williams' biggest area of improvement is? What can he do to go from here to here?
Okay.
So that's what we start with. This kind of this big question. What is this improvement that you have? Then the second thing we say is, so what are you doing or not doing that stands in your way? So you want to lose weight. You want to get that gut right. What are you doing or not doing? Well, I'm eating them snacks at 9:30. I'm not really going to the gym. I'm doing XYZ.
Doc, you read my mail. What you doing, Doc?
Exactly. And so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But the thing is, this is about adaptive change. Sure. Adaptive change focuses on mindset, beliefs, attitudes, assumptions. And so until you change those, you can't change the actions. Yeah. And so that's what our coaching focuses on.
Awesome. Yeah. That's really good, man.
And so that's what the methodology focuses on too, is how do you make adaptive change? Not just technical change. I mean, just think about how many people have New Year's resolutions that they can't remember.
Man, they give them up by the end of the month of January.
So yeah, because they're trying to apply technical solutions to an adaptive problem. That's why.
Wow, that's powerful. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, we got to definitely talk more about that. But before we do that, Doc, let's go back to the beginning. So you definitely you started out, obviously, I'm sure, as a teacher. Where is your experience mostly at? Is it the elementary, middle, high school, all the above?
Yeah. This is one piece of advice that I would give educators.
Okay.
Even if not a piece of advice, it's just something that's worked for me.
Okay.
So I started off on the secondary level.
Okay.
Started off as a high school teacher, pre-algebra to pre-calc at McClure High School in Ferguson, Florissant, North County.
Sure.
Was an assistant principal in Normandy, Ferguson, Florissant. But then I had a superintendent that said, hey, you know what? I know you're only secondary, but I want you to jump into the elementary world.
Wow.
So I jumped in as an elementary principal. That really was one of the best things that happened to me as a technical educator, because I understand curriculum, which is a place that a lot of times as Black men, we either shy away from, or we just don't get the opportunity to expand our knowledge.
Yes.
And so that's really helped me become a K-12. So I was an elementary principal for 5, middle school principal for about 5 or 6, AP for a couple at the middle school level. So yeah, I've been around the block just a little bit.
No, we have that in common, Doc. Actually, the great shout out to Dr. Kelvin Adams right there in St. Louis. He came to me as well. I was a high school principal and asked me to become an elementary principal.
Yep.
And I'm so grateful that I did that, because I agree. I feel like that really rounded me out as a K-12 educator, K-12 leader. So yeah, we definitely have that in common.
The most important reason it's important to me is because, the whole literacy thing.
100%. 100%. I will tell you, the first month that I was at Ford Elementary School, I realized, okay, this is why Jamal can't read in ninth grade.
Yep.
This is why Jamal is still on a third grade reading level in ninth and 10th and 11th grade, right? Because they didn't get that foundation literacy wise in the elementary setting. So you're right. So true.
I think one of the most humane and most inhumane things we can do is related to teaching kids how to read.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So that's why I really like the elementary, because I understand the art and science of it, and I can help influence that. Because if you've ever been on the elementary level, one of the saddest things is to go like from a early elementary grade, just walk past the classroom and then go to an upper elementary, and you see the change in interest and engagement in learning.
100%.
And so you see it so early, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
And so we have to do something about that part, because if you've ever seen a child that you remember from second grade being so energetic, so engaged, so fun-loving, fifth and sixth grade, they're whole different interests. It's almost like, man, we lost already.
No, I agree with that. And, actually Ford Elementary right there in St. Louis, I was a K-6 principal. We went all the way to sixth grade, and I saw exactly what you were saying. And I really I don't know what you attribute it to, Doc. Maybe we can get into that on what you think the concern or the reason is behind that. But for me, I just feel like the curriculum is just set up from learning to read to reading to learn, right? So from kindergarten or pre-K to third grade or fourth grade, we are teaching our kids how to read, write, and comprehend. And we are teaching all those very important literacy skills. But then the curriculum changes in fourth and fifth grade from learning to read, write, and comprehend to reading to learn. And there's an expectation curriculum-wise that you know how to do that. And so if you're a child, like no child is going to look bad in front of their peers, right? They're going to be a smart aleck over a dumb,
right,
any day of the week in front of their peers. And so they do shut down, and we do start seeing behaviors that they wouldn't otherwise do in earlier grades, because now they don't want to look bad in front of their peers because they know they can't read, and that curriculum gets progressively harder because it's a higher grade, right?
Yep.
What do you think about that, Doc?
I agree with that. I mean, I see that as being one of the issues. I think, to me, one thing that's important is it sounds real simple, but to me, it's trying to just make sure our kids at those early levels have as many experiences as possible.
Okay.
The reason that I say that is because experiences builds your vocabulary, and it also can really expand the way that you communicate. So not only am I growing in terms of my vocabulary, which is the fundamental part of reading. So if my experience are expanded, my vocabulary is expanded at such a young age, then yeah, I will be better prepared to read, of course.
Very good point.
So that's really what I sort of lean to at those earlier ages, is how can we give kids as much exposure to different types of text, whether it's written, whether it's verbal, whether it's the note on the refrigerator, whether it's closed caption, whatever it is. How can we get kids exposed to experiences and text? How can we just flood them with it?
Sure.
Even as we think about leveraging, some of our prenatal supports and the parents as teachers, and those are the things they try to do as well.
Sure.
So how can we just expand? And the other part is, two more parts to me, is make sure that we're doing the things that develop the brain, both prenatal and postnatal.
Okay.
And then the main thing is we got to feed our bodies right.
Okay. Okay.
The days of when you and I ate Frosted Flakes.
Yeah.
And all of that. And them donuts and that juice and that chocolate milk, and we on 10 trying to go into a classroom, those days have to be over. We have 100%. To do something different.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, yeah, you're talking about the whole child. Like I love that. That's really, really cool.
Oh, well, we
And
have to, man. We
yeah,
have to. And honestly, we have to create environments of love, high
mm,
expectations, and withholding judgment.
okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say withholding judgment?
I don't know, man. Sometimes my cousins, once we get us a little Lexus and move to West County or North County, sometimes we forget that we are those people that we criticize so much.
Ooh, woo,
So
woo.
I think that sometimes we just forget and we
Okay.
start to become judgmental. I don't know why it's something. It's not any particular person's fault,
Mhm.
but I don't know. We start to other ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, one of the things that I love about, K-12 educators in general is that they really do believe for the most part in paying it forward. And so like even for me, like I'm not having this conversation without people that came into my life and poured into
Right.
my life. And I don't ever forget that. So when I look at a young, you know, young male, young African American male, young male that's, black or brown, I'm really trying to help them because I don't know what kind of supports they have at home. Right. And so I agree. I think sometimes when we become successful, we forget that no person is an island unto themselves, right? Somebody helped you along the way. Somebody helped you along your journey.
Right.
Somebody poured into you. And what are you doing to each one reach one, right?
Yeah. And I just want to say I'm not being critical because this is a very hard time that we're living in. We've never been through these kinds of experiences, and everybody's having a very difficult time. The system is broken. So I want to make sure I emphasize that part. The system is just totally broken, period.
Right.
Um, so I want to make sure I say that and just really want to emphasize how important it is at this time that, we have to balance our focus on kids to making sure we focus on the educators and the people who love and support these kids and pour into them as well. So I think that's super important. We can't forget that.
100%. Yeah, this work is not easy. 100%. And I mean, we both know that. Like, Doc, do you I know you're doing your part as a K-12 leader.
Yeah.
You do have a book that's coming out, correct? Can
Absolutely.
you share with our viewers about that?
Yeah. Uh, and first, I can kind of talk about the impetus to writing the book.
Okay.
So I want to give a shout out to some brothers in St. Louis who initiated an organization, Black Male Educators St. Louis.
Okay.
So Dr. Fields, and Dr. Diggs. And
Okay.
so I was making my transition back to St. Louis 4 or 5 years ago, and they had a convening. They convened a whole, some brothers together. And I was just making a transition. They invited me to come by to this kind of convening of Black men. So
Mm-hmm.
when I walked in, probably like you've experienced, you
Mm-hmm.
remember one time you used to be the young head, now you become the old head. So this was one of the first times that I really had that shock, like, oh my God, I'm the old head now.
100%. Yeah.
And so, but it gave me a different level of responsibility.
Sure.
And so it made me think about, okay, when I was the young head or the person still evolving in the profession, whether it's beginning, middle, or end, like what would have been helpful for me?
Yeah.
And so that really was the impetus for the book.
Okay.
Is to say, okay, so if I walk into a room full of brothers and I say, who got now, who got next, or feel like the other, if you fall into any of those categories, you have now, which means you're a leader right now, you have next, you're on your way, or you've ever felt like the other. So that's who the book is for.
Sure.
And so if I had a message for those people, what would the message be? Know the king within.
Okay.
That's K. I inspire others for collective impact. So cool to inspire, but let's make a difference.
Okay.
Navigate to the north, which means have a North Star or a value system. And G, gravitate to the great. So surround yourself with people that's going to make you just gangster.
I love it.
And so in the book, what I do is I talk about what that means. I provide like a quick story. I provide what I call king moves. So if you say, how do I know the king within? Boom, here are 4 or 5 steps that you do. How do I inspire greatness? Here's 4 or 5 steps. And then I have some reflection questions for people to think about.
Right.
And so this is just something, man, that I've really been working on for a while. It's been a lot of ups and downs, but it really is just my contribution. As they say, do it for the culture. This is really my contribution, one of my contributions to the culture. I'm tired of talking that ish. I'm just trying to put down the work.
100%. When is the book coming out?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. So we got to ask Mr. Amazon.
Yeah.
So it is hopefully it's in transit as we speak.
Okay.
So, but I am going to do a rollout. So I'll be having, book signing, some events, both in person and virtual. And I'll be doing a barbershop type podcast around the book called King Conversations.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Well, please keep us posted on that. We would love to share any information related to that in our show notes, even for this conversation that we're having, so that people that are watching can, definitely buy that book when it comes out for sure. I love it. Are you going to actually have like case studies for each one of those acronyms? Each one of the letters in the acronym?
So it's not really a case study. I call it the illustrative scenario.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So when I talk about the king within, I talk about a situation where I got some really, really tough feedback that I had never gotten before. So it really made me look at myself very differently, to examine the king within much differently. And so I tell 3 or 4 stories like that.
I love
it. Part of the book. Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah. I feel like stories are so powerful because a lot of times when those stories are shared, you can see your own self, your own situation in those stories. So yeah, that's really cool. Let me know, Doc. I want to get that book for real.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, just contributing to the culture. And my belief is iron sharpens iron. And you heard me say that before. So I just feel like we just need to be just making each other better, man. That's just my feeling. So
I agree with that. And you're right. Now that we're both in our 50s, we are the old heads. So yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's different, man, when you walk into a space and, I was just the young head for so long. And then all of a sudden, but I always knew that, I will say this before I jump off. We talk about respecting those who came before us.
Yes.
My brother, who's the superintendent in UCIT, the board president in Riverview Gardens, Dr. Beckwith. I always have to acknowledge him because when I came into the work, he was the sort of like the one who was, I would say, like handling business, but then also carried himself in a very upstanding way that was uncompromising and really epitomized Black men of that generation.
Wow.
And so I do want to just acknowledge him because I'm like, somebody got to keep this thing going.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
No, that's really good. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we definitely want to keep up with you on that. So, Doc, like somebody's watching you right now. They're a school leader, they're a school educator. And, with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, they maybe have become really demoralized as it relates to K-12 education. What kind of advice or encouragement would you give to those people that are watching you and listening to you right now?
I think the first thing that I would say is probably like they really do know the answer.
Okay.
They really do.
Sure.
Again, you talk about adaptive change versus technical change. It's hard to make change when you're afraid that, you might fall on your face, or you may not be successful, or you may not make the money. You may not be able to carry the family in the ways that you did, or you may, so it takes some self-examination. But then I will talk about, what I really try to do is a couple things. Metaphor. So imagine if your tires are spinning, I help you get unstuck. If you can't see yourself in a foggy mirror, I help you do that. If you got your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time, I help you do that. If you're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, I help you solve that.
Okay.
And so, if you think about a puzzle, I help you put the pieces together.
Okay.
If you have a dream, I help you try to make sense of it. And so those are the kinds of things that we do as coaches.
Okay.
Everybody can use the space, the time to do that. We so busy doing social media and all other kind of BS that we could take time to do that.
You're right. That's fair, Doc. That's fair.
You can give yourself like 45 minutes every 2 weeks to pour into yourself.
Yeah. And do a thorough self-examination, right?
Yeah. But it's more than that. Again, it's the goal and the soul. So if you're trying to get something accomplished, you're trying to get a new job, you're trying to make a transition professionally, you're trying to make a decision about, do I want to pursue the PhD here or do I want to do it there? We help you give the time and the space, and we use our technical training. I'm a certified coach, just like you're a certified leader. We have a certain expertise, and that's standardized.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So we're definitely going to leave your information in the show notes so people can reach out to you, because I can see where they can get a lot of value with having someone like you as a coach. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that it's super important. Like you said, everyone needs a coach.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, it could be group, because we work with teams and groups, especially with that immunity to change. Just think about if your organization, as a principal, you've been trying to make this change for 3 or 4 or 5 years. You've been trying to get this curriculum programming to stick, or this PLCs to stick, and they have been able to stick. Let me help you think through that process and really think about the assumptions, the behaviors, the beliefs that are keeping your foot on the gas and the brake.
I like that. That's really, really good. Okay. That's good to know, Doc. So, Doc, I only have a couple more questions. One of the questions I have is, I feel like the K-12 profession is the greatest profession in the world. In fact, I believe that the K-12 profession is a profession that makes all other professions possible. Why do you believe the K-12 profession is such a great profession?
Well, I don't know if great is the word that I would use.
Okay, fair.
Matter of fact, I would not use the word great. But I think it's an important profession, because if you come out of the womb and you are 5 years old, we've touched your life.
True.
So for me, it's important on a personal note because of my faith tradition. And my faith tradition tells me, in short, that I've been given a lot, so I owe a lot.
Okay.
And so the work really for me is about two. One, fulfilling my obligation. And then the other thing is trying to undo some of the harm that I've done intentionally or unintentionally. So that's really what it's about for me.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that whole intent versus impact. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
So, Doc, before we go forward, I definitely want to take the time to acknowledge you and all that you've done in K-12 education for your career. How long have you been doing this, Doc?
So I started teaching formally. So I started my career in 1992 as a fellow at the St. Louis Science Center. But I started formally teaching in 1995 at McClure High School.
So you've been doing this 30 years, man. I really want to thank you for all the work you've done in all the schools and the school communities that you worked in, because, I definitely started this show to celebrate and acknowledge amazing school leaders like yourself and thought leaders like yourself in this space. So definitely want to give you a shout out for that. And we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, I do come from a faith tradition. And one of the things my mother says to keep yourself grounded is my parents are Muslims. All praise is due to Allah. And what that means to me is, that means the praise is not mine. So those accolades, that's fine. But I understand where that comes from. And so I just encourage people to keep that in mind, because ego can, as J. Cole says, pride is the devil. And so that ego can really put us on the wrong track.
No, that's fair. That's fair. There's a book out there. I don't know if you've read it or heard about it. It's called Ego is the Enemy.
See?
100%. So yeah, I agree with you on that. But I also think we get beat down in this profession so much. So when I get an opportunity to meet an amazing educator like yourself, I'm gonna give you your props 100%.
Well, man, I also say this. We grew up Jackie Robinson, Corey Lee playing baseball. And in order to survive in that community, you better talk your ish and you better back it up. So I'm going to always be able to talk my ish. You better believe that.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. Well, Dr. Buchanan, we want to thank you for coming on the show to share your journey and share what you got going on in your life with our viewers and our listeners. But before you leave, would you please give our viewers and our listeners some parting words of wisdom? Tell us how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
I don't know that I have any parting words of wisdom.
You've been giving these golden nuggets all through the interview, my brother.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I have any parting words of wisdom. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I think for me, it's just don't be afraid, I guess. Yeah, just don't be afraid. I guess is really the parting word of wisdom, and like to follow, because I think that we just ignore. See, this society values ration and really disregards intuition. And I think we got to do a better job of listening to the intuition, because man, we know what's up. We just ignore it.
Wow.
Yeah, we just ignore it. So, but I also think that prayer and meditation help those things become clearer.
Okay.
And so I think if I were to leave something, yep.
Prayer and meditation.
Meditation has really transformed me. So I do want to say that. Yeah.
How long you been doing it, Doc?
Man, for about 8 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been serious about it for about 8 years.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can definitely see a difference.
It's literally changed my life, and that's not an exaggeration.
Wow, that says a lot. Okay, well, thank you for that. How can we connect with you?
Sure. My email address is ian@niaeducationgroup.org.
Okay.
Or just Google Ian Buchanan and then it'll pop up. But I'm on social media with Ian Buchanan, EMP Buchanan on the social media outlets. So you wouldn't have a problem finding me. Yep.
Awesome. We'll definitely put that in the show notes. Well, Doc, I want to thank you again for coming on the show, and we definitely wish you all the best. And as that old saying goes, I don't feel like God is through with you yet. So I still feel like you have a lot to contribute to the culture, as you say. So really appreciate you, my brother, and we definitely wish you all the best.
Thank you for the space, man. I really respect and appreciate the work that you're doing, man. I see you out here, man, in these leadership streets. I see you in these streets, brother. So keep doing what you're doing, man. This is the work that we need to be doing. Whatever way we can fit in and find our space, that's what we got to do.
Man, I really appreciate that. Definitely coming from you. I definitely appreciate it. So I appreciate you, brother, and we'll definitely be in touch. Can you do me one favor? When that book comes out, can you come back on the show?
Enough respect. You know I will.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you.
Take care, man.
All right. Take care. All the best.
Yep.